For those of you that don't know me, I'm a cosmetic nurse and I stab people for a living. Yes, just have to fix up my hair. Okay. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm a cosmetic nurse and I stab people for a living. It's been ages since I've actually injected because of this whole quarantine and the coronavirus, but I'm actually back to injecting next week. And I kind of wanted to brush up on my knowledge about injectables. I not only just talk about Botox and fillers, but I am a big skincare guru, and hopefully I can inspire you guys or give you a bit of content or inform you about tips, tricks, little secrets that the industry probably does not want you to know about injectables. And so a little bit about me, a little bit about me. I am technically a registered nurse. I did work in hospitals and I did work alongside plastic surgeons. Funny, really fun fact, before I was a cosmetic nurse, I actually studied interior design. So I've always had this element of beauty and design and creating things always within myself. I guess I wanted to become a cosmetic nurse only because I've always been interested in the beauty aspect of things, and only now within my career it started to flourish into injectables and now into skincare. I love talking about these two things. I feel like as though it is my passion, and I really just want to inform you guys. I do have to disclaim, I am not a dermatologist, I am not a doctor, I am a registered nurse. So let's talk about Botox, okay? Botox, official name is botulinum toxin. Try saying that 5 times. As most people know, it does not freeze your face, as a lot of people seem to think that, oh, let's just get some Botox and it freezes your face. It temporarily paralyzes your muscle, okay? So it does last only about 3 to 4 months. However, I do have the oddball clients where sometimes they tend to last a little bit longer, to up to about 6 to 7 months. But referring back to what Botox is, it's a purified protein, and it is a small bacteria that has been manufactured, distilled in a certain manner that is safe to actually put into the body. It's TGA, FDA approved, and you can pretty much put it anywhere within your body. Obviously, the most common areas that most clients get is the frown, the forehead, and the crow's feet. But off-label treatments, so when we say off-label treatments, it just means that it's not really guided. You can get a lip flip done, you can get it on your nose for a nose lift, you can get it for a brow lift, you can get it on your jawline where your platysma bands are, you can get it on your chin, you can put it on your hands, you can get it on your feet. Anywhere where there's a muscle and a sweat gland, you can actually put Botox. It's a really versatile product. But it sells like hotcakes. Like, I have so many clients, young girls that come in and they're like, we need to fix this. Like, what is this? That is just not pretty. So obviously most people tend to have this stigma that Botox is like for like 40, 50, 60-year-olds. In actual fact, you can start having Botox at about 18 years old because it's more to do about preventative reasons. So if you're a person that actually likes to maintain and get Botox done every 3 to 4 months time, then your cosmetic nurse would actually would schedule you in and actually tell you that, you know, you can start getting Botox at 18, 20. Most people actually start at 25, 30. That's more of like classified as an appropriate age, but you can have Botox at any age. Of course, it goes up to a certain age because it's more to do with your muscles. It's got nothing to do with your skin. I actually have a lot of clients, and believe you not, I have a lot of clients that actually think that if they get Botox and they've got all these pimples on their forehead, it's actually going to like disappear. It doesn't work like that, okay? It's targeting your muscles. So I have a lot of clients, majority of the time, that actually get frowns and foreheads done. But see, this is the thing, okay? Let's just kind of like ponder on and go into a little tangent about this. Have you ever seen those women where they have really those shiny foreheads and they're just like, they don't move at all? Firstly, that's personal preference, okay? Second of all, she obviously gets a very high dosage amount just in this area and in this area. And then third of all, over a period of time, like a period of time where they consistently, consecutively get Botox, the muscle tends to, in a way, become flat, especially this one here. The whole mechanism of Botox, and I have to explain this to all my clients, and I'm happy to share this with you guys. The whole mechanism of Botox is the little bacteria goes into specific points that we actually target of the muscle. It goes into receptors that that link in, and they're sending signals saying that this muscle is being paralyzed. Therefore, when it's being paralyzed, it's not constricting as much. And that is why you have a shiny forehead, your crow's feet pull back, all of these, like you can't go like this. You're literally like, you're in a sense frozen, but you're not actually frozen. It's for a very temporary period of time that you will have this. So when the muscles are not constricting, that's why you have such a nice and shiny forehead. And I get girls, and I'm not kidding, I inject them, and literally, because Botox has a 24 to 48 hour onset, right? It takes 2 weeks for it to actually have its full potential work. But I get clients, young girls, they get off the bed and they're like, oh my God, like I can already see the effects. Like, oh my God, I can already see it working. It doesn't work like that. You have to tell them it takes 24 to 48 hours. Usually it takes about a day for it to kick in, especially with original Botox. But you'll start to feel the effects by the 3rd or 5th day. By the 1st week, you'll actually feel the effects. By 2 weeks' time, it actually goes into like a deceased kind of like mode, and it just works its magic, and you won't even notice the fact that you can't even move it. Like, yeah, you obviously know that you can't move it, but it'll ease in. And then after about 3 to 4 months, but apart from the forehead actually takes about, really depends. If you're one of those people that actually does strenuous exercise, then you're pretty much already, your immune system is already, eats it up, I guess you could say, in a way. In a sense, you could say that it eats it up. Your immune system is eating it up. So you'll probably have to come back in at least 2 months' time, 3 months maybe tops, just to redo your forehead. The reason being is, when I consult, I always ask them, do you do strenuous exercise? When I mean strenuous exercise, I mean, those like body lifting weight kind of like women that they go like that, and when they're lifting and they're constricting their muscles, you're more prone for it to actually come back because your immune system is in a way eating it away. So this is why you would have to come back every 2 to 3 months, as opposed to somebody that doesn't do strenuous exercise. And on another note, this goes into fillers as well, but we'll be talking about this later. So with Botox, especially with first timers, I have to always, when I always have amateur first time clients that really freak out when they get Botox done, right? I always have to obviously tell them the dosages, what works appropriate for them, what would be the best outcome, but I always psychologically tell them I always tell them psychologically, you need to prepare yourself. So let me just go back by experience, right? I always tell them that when you get Botox, at first, you're actually gonna freak out. You're gonna be like, oh my God, what have I done? Why is it not moving? Oh my God, I'm paranoid. Is this gonna be permanent? Is this gonna be... I kid you not, if you're laughing, I'm telling you, I have a lot of clients that are like that. I totally understand. They freak out, they're not aware of it. They don't understand the feeling of having Botox. A lot of them are really scared. And it's funny, there's still this stigma where so many people are still afraid of getting Botox as opposed to dermal fillers, where dermal fillers are actually much more high risk as opposed to Botox. Botox, the only risk that you're only gonna get by getting Botox in your muscles is, especially around this area, liptosis. But we will get back to that later on another topic. All I'm talking about is the basics of Botox. So yeah, when I do my consultations and they're a first timer, I always let them know. But really deep down inside, I'm actually really laughing my head off because they're freaked out for no reason, I'm telling you. I review them back in 2 weeks' time. They come back for another consult and they're like, you know what, Sarah? You're so right. There was nothing to freak out about. Exactly. There was nothing to freak out about. Anyway, but still, everybody's very different, each to their own. You know, if some are like ready to have Botox like that, and then there's some that are like, yeah, maybe not just yet. I don't think I feel like as though I need it. Even though some of them, they really do. But that's like another topic. But as first timers, I always tell them what would be appropriate. And I always go by that psychologically, you know that you're so used to moving your muscle, right? So when it's paralyzed, you're gonna be slightly freaking out. You're gonna think to yourself, why can't I move this? Why can't I move this? I used to be able to move it, now I can't move it. Like, what the hell? Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Can I get rid of Botox? On a side note, no. You can't dissolve, you can't get rid of it, you can't do anything like that with Botox. And believe me, I know that it might be stupid, but I have clients that will come in and they're like, can't you just like dissolve it? No. Can't you just like get rid of it, like pop it out or something like that? No, doesn't work like that. You have to, unfortunately, give it the allocated time for it to actually work its full potential. And then you have to, then afterwards, we usually just kind of say, okay, well, it obviously didn't work for your benefit. Let's try a different approach. That's usually what I try and tell my clients. But I always consult beforehand. I always let them know the risks and everything that is involved with Botox. Like I said, Botox is much more safer as opposed to dermal fillers. When we're talking about muscles, we're obviously talking about mainly of the upper face when we're doing Botox. That is like the holy grail of any injector nurse that you will go to that will tell you, okay, what areas are we treating? This. Simple. The three. It's the glabella, which is pretty much your frown here. Then it's this muscle up here, which is called the frontalis. It goes all the way back here, which is called the forehead. And then we're gonna go around here, which is the sphinx muscle around the orbital rim. So we do the crow's feet just here. This is all classified as completely normal. If you go to your injector nurse and she knows straight away, it's like bam, 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 cool. But to a first timer, usually when you treat this area, you treat this area. The reason why I say that is if you just treat this area, it's gonna look really funny around here, right? And this is the area where you can sometimes see those people where they get branching happening just around here if you don't actually treat this area. Because the reason for it is if you go like this, right? And you're kind of like paralyzed here, but yet you can still do that, you get little bubbles, right? I've got a small forehead, so maybe it's not a really good example, but I have seen clients that have been injected by other injectors that completely told them, oh, don't worry about it, just get this done, or they financially can't afford it. Fair enough if you financially can't afford it, but it's always best to treat this and this. If it tends to cost a little bit more, save it up and get it done properly. Believe me, I've seen so many girls, oh my God, I can't tell you some of the injectors. And it's not just nurses, I'm talking doctors. Some doctors, just because they're a doctor, does not mean that they are God. Believe me, I've worked alongside plastic surgeons, I've worked alongside doctors. I get that they're the shit, I get it. I get they're a doctor, I get it. They make the big bucks, they make all the, I'm in charge. But nurses are much more better injectors, I feel, as opposed to a doctor. Alright, let them be plastic surgeons, let them be the GPs, let them be the dentists. Yes, some dentists do inject Botox as well because they tend to do it here where the smile lines are and the lip flips. That's on another topic. But doctors, I feel, have a sense that they don't actually get aesthetically. I feel, from my experience, I don't feel that they get how us nurses inject. That's just my personal preference. I'm not saying all doctors. There are some amazing plastic surgeon doctors. If you've ever heard this dude, the Brazilian doctor for Allergan, which is one of the world's leading Botox and dermal fillers suppliers, like they are the shit, man. There's a doctor that actually has come up with these codes called the MD codes. His name's Maurizio, oh, I forgot his name, but he's Brazilian. Anyway, that's beside the point. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes because it's a doctor does not mean that he actually knows his shit. Yes, he obviously studied his anatomy, but sometimes the art of creating something with dermal fillers and Botox in somebody's anatomy, sometimes a doctor just doesn't. I can't tell you how many times, and this is going completely off the scale, I can't tell you how many times I've had to fix a doctor's work. You know, they've done somebody's lips and they come in and then I have to fix it. They've done somebody's Botox and they come in and then I have to fix it. There's a rule that they say as a cosmetic nurse, never ever touch somebody's work. I get it, I really do. But when you're with emotionally slightly dysfunctional clients, it sounds really bad to say, but I can't say it any other way. Let's just say the ones that have body dysmorphia in a way. If they're so persistent, I don't ever want to make a client unhappy. So I do take up another injector's work. However, I do it to my standards. I don't do it to another degree, only to what I am capable of doing. And yet they're still kind of happy, I suppose. But anyway, like I was saying, I've seen doctors' works, especially when it comes to Botox. Sometimes you can get little branching happening here. Sometimes with the crow's feet, it's not really much of an issue. It's more the danger zone around here going too low, and then you can get liptosis, meaning that you've gone really close to the brow and you've dropped the eyebrow. There are cases where I've even experienced it. I've even experienced it myself when I got Botox done. I've had such a high dose here, it's actually dropped my brows. So that sometimes happens. I've even had people say from this industry that have actually said to me that treating this area is probably one of the hardest areas. And it actually is, because every anatomy is different. Every forehead is different. I've got a small forehead, so I feel for me, I would need smaller dosages. But there are some girls, they want it frozen. I'm telling you, believe me, they want the whole shebang. They don't want no movement. And then I even say to them, I'm just like, don't you want to look angry for your kids or for your partner? Yeah, kind of. And then they get upset. Because I gave them what they wanted, but anyway, that's on another whole topic. So going back to the first timers of Botox, I do have a handy tip that I like to always tell my clients, and you can do this yourself even if you're a first timer and you've never had Botox as well, and you've actually wanted to experience slightly how it would feel like. This is what I always say to them. So if you move your forehead like this, you go up and down, yeah? So you can actually feel your muscles constricting. They're going up and down. You can see the little wrinkles, the little stagnant line, the dynamic lines. Okay, maybe not mine because I'm due for mine. Oh God, what is that? Oh my God. Anyways, so you can move your forehead, yes? Then I say put your hand on your forehead, right? Don't whack it on and go as hard as you can. Just slightly put pressure on your forehead and try and move it up and down, okay? As you're putting pressure on your forehead, try and move up and down. That's how it feels like getting Botox done on your forehead, okay? The more pressure that you actually apply and you move it up, that is more kind of, I guess you could say, that's a sensation of feeling like a heavier dose. But if you just put a light pressure and you go up and down, that's how it feels like when you actually have Botox. That is what I mean by the initial phase of when it's actually injected and the receptors are starting to signal to each other saying, oh, you need to constrict, oh my God, like you're temporarily paralyzing it. And then you go, that's pretty much, that is exactly the sensation that I am talking about when it comes to having Botox done for the first time. Usually first timers always, of course they get freaked out, of course it costs a lot of money. I understand it is an expensive maintenance, but you can achieve some really amazing results with the right appropriate amount of dosages. Usually when we're treating the glabella, which is the frown area here, we usually treat about 20 units. When we do the forehead, it really depends. Remember, like I said, every forehead is very different, but if you at least have 8 to 10 units just in your forehead, then you're fine. So usually when we do treat this area, it's about 30 units. So I know a lot of people think, oh my God, 30 units, that's like 30 mils. Oh my God, like that is gonna be so expensive. To a certain degree, yes, it's expensive, but that is such a tiny, small, little minimal amount of units. Literally, like, it's not gonna harm you. It's not gonna cause you anything. If it might give you a little bit of a headache, actually, first time getting Botox, you will get a slight little headache. But you can just take some Panadol, don't take Nurofen. Nurofen tends to constrict more of the vessels and you're more prone to kind of getting more of like little bruises. If say per se, when you're injecting, you shouldn't be getting bruises, but if you do, it tends to constrict it more. So that's why I always say never Nurofen because it's worse off. You're better off just with the standard Panadol and the headache will go away. There are clients that do have migraines, like persistent migraines, and they actually go and get Botox done, but they have 200 times the amount of dosages done, and they have it literally all around here, like they get it all around here. Even like when you do your hands, right? You get about 100 units just when you inject your hands. When you're doing your armpits as well, it's about 100 units. When you do your feet, it's about 100 units. So 30 units just in this very small area is literally nothing. Nothing will happen to you. There is a study where there's kids that have muscle disformities, and they actually get way more Botox. I'm not going to get into it, but you can do your own research when it comes to that. But what I'm trying to say is the very small amount of dosages that you are getting is nothing to be freaked out about. It's nothing to be worried about. And I always tell this to my clients, that this is just the standard, this is the basic, this is the happy medium. So you're not getting underdosed, you're not getting overdosed. You're literally in the happy zone. And then from there, we have a 2-week review, especially with first timers. We tell them to come in, we assess it, and then we kind of see what would be the next best thing. So either if they're very happy with it, obviously we don't treat them, but if they need more, some people, like I said, some of these girls, they want a completely frozen look. They want it completely like boom, no movement whatsoever. So you then kind of obviously give them an extra 2 units or 4 units or 6 units, depending on the actual look that they want. Like I mentioned before, firstly, it's always personal preference. It's what they're trying to achieve. Second of all, I know that there is a stigma around it, because there are a lot of people like, oh my God, look at her, her face can't move at all. Each to their own, okay? One thing I've learned in this industry is that even though I have my own personal preferences and what I find is beautiful and somebody else doesn't, I'm not one to judge. I'm not one to actually say, no, you should do this or you should do that. If that's what they want, you give them what they want. If she wants a lot in her forehead, you give her a lot in the forehead. Simple as that. When it comes to treating crow's feet though, you do have to be obviously very careful, especially around here, because it is a sphinx muscle and you need to kind of stay away from the orbital rim. Usually these areas around here, it's between 12 to 14 units. So you're looking at around about, what's that? 24 to 28 units just in these areas around here. So a standard face, we're looking at around about 50, 60 units. Like I said, it's not a big deal when you're getting 100 units up here, or here, you know? And there are people out there getting 200 unit dosages just for their migraines. So 60 unit on a standard face, absolutely normal. I know there are clients out there where they go to all these like clinics, like laser clinic, evolution clinic. Keyword, laser. They are laser clinics. They are laser. They're not injectables. Okay, they don't specify just in injectables. They specify in all different rings. I understand it's a business. I get it, but I work in a private clinic and we only deal with just injectables, and hence why I have a lot of women saying, oh, I went to Evolution Laser. It's like, okay, well, how many units have you used? I have no idea. What did they use on you? I don't know. How much did you pay? I don't know. It was a package deal. Believe me, that's what they always say. They never know how many units. They don't know what's in their face, and they never know how much they actually really paying for the actual product. Anyway, so let's just stick to the basics. So with Botox in Australia, there are 7 different types of Botox. However, we only have type A, and with that type A, we have 3 different types of Botox. So if you've heard of original Botox, Dysport, and Cinnamon, then you are awesome. I still get a lot of clients where I tell them, have you had Dysport or Cinnamon? And they seem to think, is that like a better one? Is that like a weaker one? Is that like a... There's a lot of people still not knowing what is what. They still don't know the difference, which is fair enough, I understand, but it gives me a lot of concern, and this is hence why I'm making this video. It gives me a lot of concern that people have no idea what is actually realistically in their face. And I'll go into this when we talk about dermal fillers, There are still clients where you ask them what's in your face and they have absolutely no idea. They just handed over the cash and they didn't get the results that they wanted. But that's on another topic. So with Botox, it's all manufactured. These are all manufactured exactly the same way. Yes, they are competitors. They have different names, obviously, but they all work mechanism wise, and action mode is all exactly the same. The whole point of it is to temporarily paralyze that muscle. It's not to freeze it. Okay, let's just be clear here. It does not freeze your muscles. Okay, although it feels like it, it's not freezing your muscles. It temporarily paralyzes it. Okay, so like I was saying, they're all different competitors. One thing that people will actually not know is that original Botox has about a 1 centimeter radius spread. So when you're injecting these little points, like when you're going like this, when you're just going like that, it has a 1 centimeter radius spread. So meaning that it will like kind of diffuse out into the muscle. With Dysport, I find, and I've worked with both, I find that it has a 2 centimeter spread. So it has a more of a spread. I personally think original Botox is good for more of a younger client because it's actually pointing the specific points of the actual muscle and it's spreading it out to a certain degree. So it's actually giving you just that bit of that muscle that is going to stop constricting. With Dysport, it spreads it out more. So this is hence why I say that it's better for more of the mature kind of clients, as their muscles are not constricting so much. So they need more of a spread. So it's more of a 2 centimeter radius spread. It works better for them. But I have had clients that are young and they've had Dysport and they like it. Like I said, each to their own personal preference. Is that the look that they want? Yes or no? It does not mean that one tends to last longer than the other, although it really does contribute to lifestyle factors. So if you're a person, like I said, if you do strenuous exercise, if you drink alcohol, if you smoke, if you're out in the sun, you know, all of these contributing factors tend to have effect on it. So especially if you're smoking, it tends to kind of wear it down a bit, but that's more to do with the dermal fillers. Okay, so that was just a little warm up. That was just something to introduce you guys to the topic about it. I obviously will display more. I will be talking more. If you have any questions, if there's anything that you actually want to know, just message below, write it down, and I will actually answer your questions. So I hope this was slightly a little bit informative. I really want to know what's your uptake. I want to keep making videos. So I hope you will tune in and see my videos next week. See ya!